Now that was more like Doctor Who. That was an episode of Doctor Who. Now, once again, me and my wife yesterday tuned in to watch Doctor Who. We saw the Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror, the episode about Nikola Tesla, and it was much better than Orphan 55. It was much more story driven, much more focused, much more oriented around the actual story and the actual location. So obviously Nikola Tesla is in this episode, as is Thomas Edison, as is their rivalry, as is the war between AC and DC, alternating current and direct current, and all that kind of business. It's all in there. The history is there, and the episode focuses much more on that rather than making some sort of political statement. Now, we see good and bad sides to both Tesla and Edison. Yes, the negative side is focused more substantially towards Edison, and the positive light is focused more on Tesla. But we see Tesla's arrogance, Tesla's pride, if you will, and we see Edison's greed, his business-driven mentality, to the point where he enters the TARDIS and everybody's watching him in case he tries to rip something off, whereas Tesla enters the TARDIS and nobody's watching him. So we see the good and the bad side. So we see Tesla's honesty, Tesla's dedication to his work, and we see Edison's business mentality, his greed. But we also see Edison's savvy as well, his knowledge, his brains. For instance, there's a scene where Yaz is trying to evacuate everybody. Towards the end of the episode, she's trying to evacuate everybody from the streets, to get them off the streets, get them safe. And Edison, who has spent a long time brainwashing people that Tesla is mad, he's dangerous, he comes out and he starts shouting, "Look, Tesla's going to test his laser, you know, run for your lives." And they all run and they all hide, whereas Yaz has been struggling to get these people off the streets to listen. So Edison, you see his business brain there as well. And there's a lot of factual information thrown in the mix as well. For instance, Tesla once worked for Edison, who said, "I will give $50,000 to the man who can fix my generator." Tesla fixed the generator, and Edison merely offered him a raise as opposed to the actual money that he'd promised. That caused Tesla to quit his job, and he spent a long time digging ditches in the road to make a living. So hello, cat. So you see a lot of historical, factual knowledge thrown in the mix, as is the Tesla v Edison war, but it's not preachy. It's not condescending. Like Orphan 55 spent a lot of time trying to preach, trying to talk down to you, say you need to pay attention to climate change. This wasn't that. This was, you may not know who Tesla is. This is who he was. He was an underappreciated genius of his time in the early 1900s. He was really a great mind that is underappreciated today. This is who he was. Obviously, you know who Edison is, and most people know who Edison is. This is who they were in relation to each other. That's what Doctor Who should be about. Now, the aliens in this episode were a bit creepy, a bit rubbish. They were almost Rachnos, but they weren't. They were scorpions. And again, there's that link that they could have made, failed to make. And it's grating on my nerves a little bit that they have these aliens, these new aliens come into the picture, and they're so like the old aliens of the Tennant era or of the Matt Smith era or the Capaldi era, that they could easily make a link and get some continuity going, but they don't. They fail to do it, and it's almost like the showrunners, the modern showrunners, are trying to rip off the old ideas of the old showrunners and rehash them and rerun them without linking them together, and it's frustrating. You can clearly see the queen of this arachnid scorpion race. That this race wants Tesla because he's an engineer, he's a genius, and they want him to work on their ship, because that's what they do. They go from place to place and they steal things, and they steal bits and parts from races to fuel their exploration. And you can clearly see the queen. You clearly see she's a human wearing a mask, and it's a bit rubbish. But in terms of from a historical viewpoint, in terms of history and facts and science and the knowledge that you're given, it was a good episode. In terms of it's giving you something, and it's giving you not just a member of history that everybody knows, a member of history that was is underappreciated. Not many people know about Tesla and his relationship to Edison and what he actually did, the way that this man actually come up with ideas such as the earliest form of Wi-Fi. Tesla first come up with the concept of Wi-Fi, and radio and television and all these kind of things that he come up with. Lights and electricity, light bulbs, and all these kind of things that Tesla put down the precursor to, that we enjoy today, that we take for granted today. And he is so underappreciated for his time, so just forgotten. Whereas Edison is hailed as this great inventor, this great man who really wasn't an inventor. He was just a businessman who patented and sold these ideas. But Edison was the one, Tesla sorry, was the one who came up with the ideas, came up with the different adaptations for electricity. That is what Doctor Who should be about for me. It should be about bringing you knowledge. In fact, that was the original pitch for Doctor Who, was a scientific knowledge program. It was meant to be, the TARDIS was meant to be like a plot point, a plot device to get people knowing about and hearing about and learning about different scientific concepts. That's what Doctor Who was originally going to be way back in the 60s when they first come up with the idea. That's what Doctor Who should be. It should be teaching you something and entertaining you at the same time, and this episode was doing that. The next episode, the next time section at the end of the episode didn't give too much away. We know that Jadoon are coming back. They're actually going to make another appearance, so we're going to see where that goes. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.